So I will transfer you my energy. I will transfer my karma. Here is my karma on you.
We are brother.
Please record.
Boom. Guess what, ladies and gentlemen? You are now connected to the cloud server.
Cloud server.
You almost got there. That's such a cool like thing to do, like talent wise, singing. Like that would be the one thing that I would want to like if I could choose. Boom, singing, because you can just break that out anytime. We were on a cruise this one time. Oh, it's one time, the only time we've been on a cruise. And this guy just went around to all these different karaoke places. Karaoke was like the thing to do on that cruise ship. And this old guy just kept going around, and he killed it every single time. He sang this old, like Frank Sinatra type song. He just murdered it. It was awesome. I was like, I want to do that. I want to travel around cruise ship to cruise ship, singing karaoke to strangers.
There's a singer, I forget what his name is, but he has perfect pitch. So, well, some of the most famous people, most famous musicians have perfect pitch, which means that you could get one of those like tuning forks or whatever, or like you play a note on a piano and they would know it and they could sing it back. I can't think of like, for example, I'll give you some examples. Jimi Hendrix, Michael Jackson, Mariah Carey, Frank Sinatra, Freddie Mercury. I mean, they all had perfect pitch, which is just. I forget who one guy is, though.
I didn't know Jimi Hendrix was a singer. I thought he was more of a guitar player.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I guess, maybe he could hear it.
Yeah.
Maybe he wasn't a singer, but he could hear it maybe, and
maybe it just shows how good of a guitar player he was. It's like, screw this. I'm awesome at guitar playing.
I can't think of the one he's like, he's on the radio, Charlie Puth. It was Charlie Puth, and he gets so annoyed because anytime he goes on an interview, people go, "Oh, so I heard you have perfect pitch. Can we test it out?" And he's like, "Sure."
I wonder if it's hard. Is it? I guess it's not hard.
You're just born with it. It's like,
yeah. So he's just, so that would be super annoying. At least if it was like a challenge, at least he could like, there's a possibility of him not failing, or if it's failing, I mean.
But it would just be like an interview, any interview he goes on to. So let's say CNN brings him on. Yeah. "Hi, Charlie, how you doing today?" "Oh, we hear you have perfect pitch." And he's like, "Yeah." And then Fox gets him. And Fox goes, "Hey, we heard you have perfect pitch."
So annoying. So it's just, that would just be like if like Michael Jackson or like Michael Johnson's a better example. If Michael Johnson went on an interview and they were like, "Oh man, I heard you were fast. You run? You go running? You just run over there real quick?" It's like, that's so stupid.
Funny thing about Michael Johnson, actually, he is one of the few runners who have like almost like perfect form. And really? I never knew that running, you actually, obviously there's certain form, but to be like an elite sprinter, it's so much better if you have the perfect form. There was a U.S. Olympian woman who had like the absolute perfect form. Like when they're running, their head's like almost still.
Straight,
it's crazy.
No like drag or anything.
Because
I never thought about that. Yeah.
He was trying to get Usain Bolt to run better because Usain Bolt, when he runs, it's like super sloppy, but he's just a freak of nature.
Yeah.
But he said, if you could find.
Oh, lost Shane's audio.
I don't know how that happened.
There it is.
But what was the last thing you heard?
I don't know. I got too fixed on the fact that.
Okay, here, I'll just quick rewind. So Michael Johnson tried to get Usain Bolt to correct his form a little bit. Yeah. And he said that he thinks if Usain Bolt had the form that he had, he could run almost like a 9 flat, which is just unheard of.
Yeah.
Which is like half
record
a second.
Like 9.7 or something like that?
9. 9.5. Still, it's like half a second, which is crazy.
That's nuts. Wow.
But I was watching a video of him running the 100, and it's literally just perfect form. And like, I don't even know how you're running that fast, and your head's like
straight. Yeah, it's just
still
practice. Man, I don't know. Whew, it's got to be some type of in shape, you know, to be a sprinter. And the sprinters' legs, man, their legs are fucking huge. Like Saquon Barkley, huge. Like,
I don't know about that big, but
they're big, man. They're fucking big.
Have you seen his quads? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I think they're around the same size, man. Because those guys, all they do is sprint. They need all that power. You know, it's around the same speed. He's just a little short guy, though, so it's probably he gets all the girth around his hammies. Man, good for them, though. Woo! Episode 16. Getting our driver's license. Going out to the movies, you know. Getting some popcorn. Waving.
Jim and I were talking about 16, you know? And when we were 16, like, what do you do when you're 16? It's like, oh, when I was 16, I went to the mall. I went to the movies, you know.
Yep.
But other than that, what else did you really do?
No, played sports. Was it? Which is kind of cool if you think about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there's nothing else to do. And if it wasn't, that was high school sports.
Mm-hmm.
But earlier, like when you're just starting sports, or even like t-ball or minor league, you only have practice like 1 or 2 days, and then a game like once a week. So it's really not that much.
Tuesday, Thursday practice, and you play on Saturday.
Yeah, and then sometimes you might have a game during the week, but that would replace one of your practices. So.
Did you ever play? We called it wall ball. So in Little League, you get like a tennis ball, and you get like a brick wall, and you throw the tennis ball, and if you don't field it correctly, then you have to go and touch the wall, and the other person tries to pick it up. And there was like 2 ways: you either throw it out the wall first, or actually beam the person.
Yeah. And
then they were out.
Yeah, we played that. But instead of like having to run to the wall, if you didn't make it to the wall in time by the time someone threw the ball, then you had to stand against the wall and like hold your nuts with your back facing everybody, and you got to throw the ball at you.
Okay, yeah. I think that was another way we played too.
Yeah. I mean, that's how we passed the time.
Have you seen that challenge? They get in a circle and they spin a bottle, and then whoever it lands on, they pick up an egg, and everybody runs away and try to throw it at them.
Oh yeah, I have seen that. That's hilarious. It's funny. I've seen that with water balloons too.
For those of you who haven't been hit by an egg, it hurts.
It does. It has a interesting sting to it. That's funny.
Especially at close range.
Yeah. If you can't guess what we're alluding to, Shane and I were in a fraternity in college, and part of the process was involved eggs.
But I'm not saying that.
I'm not saying that the eggs were.
Those members did anything to that nature.
Yeah.
Because that would be bad.
It was willing, you know.
See how tough I am.
Willing and able. I think all that stuff is just BS. I think that like some of the it's kind of a touchy subject to talk about. You have to kind of like dance around things. But I guess that just tells you more than that tells you about is all you need to know, is that the fact that you have to dance around things. But when I was president, I wasn't ever there, and we made that on purpose. So that was cool.
I was just never there.
No, you were there. You were. Senior year, you were there the most.
I was there all the time.
Yeah.
And the year after.
Yeah. Oh man, good old education days. All right, episode 16, Teleportation and Prostitution. What is up, dudes and dudettes? And whatever you classify with nowadays. Who cares?
Oh, we should call our listeners something. You know, the
questionnaires. That sounds dumb.
Questionnaires.
Questionnaires. I don't know.
Like the one podcast is like the homies, and then there's another podcast I listen to. They call them like stoolies for Barstool.
Yeah.
We'll get there. We'll get there one day.
Yeah, I mean we're already on the right track. You know, questies, do a little talkies, a little quest talk. Why don't you guys just tell us what you want to be called? How about that? That solves everyone's problem. Then we don't call you something that you don't want to be called. So let us know, and we'll be happy to oblige. Episode 16, Teleportation, Prostitution. I'm going to go first because we're talking about it. Talking about it as in I'm just talking, so I'm going to continue to talk.
So what is your topic, John?
Prostitution. And it might surprise you what I'm about to say. So prostitution started in America, it started in the 19th century. And the reason why it became so popular at first was because all of the men went off either to war or to labor camps, like not like labor camps, like to do labor. It wasn't really, it was, you know, you couldn't just, your commute wasn't really a commute back then. It was more so like you moved to a place, did work, and then came back. So when these men were off doing that, you know, they weren't married. There wasn't really a big social structure as far as family. So they started, you know, engaging in sexual acts with these women who were at the time into it. You know, it was their idea. They were kind of a entrepreneur of their own body.
They get paid for that back then?
Yeah. I don't, you know, a couple doubloons, a slap on the ass, a speck of salt. No, I couldn't find anything on prices in the articles that I read, and I didn't want to Google how much a prostitute costs, just because of the deep state and everything, you know. So
you think we could ask Robert Kraft?
Yeah. Oh man.
So I know that prostitution is, like, I believe it is known as the oldest profession.
Yeah. And so you know, it was very popular, and it was in pretty much every single major US city up until 1904. And it became so popular because it turned sour, because then human trafficking started, and girls were kind of forced into this sexual labor underneath their pimp, or you know, whomever was organizing their you know, them to get laid. So you know, obviously that turned wrong, and they established the White Slavery Act of 1904, which prohibited the use of or using white people as slaves, or really to defend against the trafficking of white women. Some of them were men, but so that criminalized prostitution in America. And I don't really know where in Nevada. I didn't look that up. When Nevada was, can you look that up?
What year did that happen?
When Nevada decriminalized. I'm not sure. She's looking it up now. But Nevada decriminalized prostitution, and I think that the U.S. should just go ahead and decriminalize it federally, because I think that it's, you know, if you decriminalize it, you give the sex workers more rights, so they have the ability to go to the police if they're in trouble. They have the ability to go to get, a better healthcare opportunity than they had before, and it just helps it helps minimize the effect that human trafficking has on the world. And if it's not a criminal act, then who's to really tell the women or men what to do with their bodies? It's not illegal. Well, I mean, it's illegal, but.
So that's actually what I was going to get at. I was going to ask you if you think it should be legalized, and
Yeah.
I think it 100% should be. It's just one of those things where obviously, like, if I have a kid, obviously I don't want them to become one. However, I think if we created an opportunity for people to go into that line of work, then so many jobs open up, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I think it would be even better if you, instead of making it like, oh, it's out of my home, I think it would be better if there were like places for it. You know what I mean? Like a business.
Right.
And then
you would go to like a brothel.
Yeah, exactly.
Brothels,
and then you could, have security there. You could have, hey, we need your ID. That way, if anything happens, you can, charge people, and then you might have, security on. That way, the girls are protected.
Yeah, we were watching Ozark. Have you ever watched the show Ozark?
I heard it's good.
There was this one scene in a strip club, and the strip club owner kind of revealed his business plan, and he had all of the strippers were 1099 independent contractors, and they would just give him a 20% off the top, and they kept all of their tips. So that's kind of the way that I would think about how a brothel will be run. Someone owns a place, or it just really just gives the power back to those people, the sex workers, right? Because then they can make as much money as they need to. Those people are usually already on the margins of society, so they don't have as many opportunities. But through this, they could get the healthcare, they could get maybe more financial education, because they would be earning money and they would be paying taxes on that money, so they would be part of the system. So I think it's all good.
I also think it would be great for those people who, they might not be the best looking, or they might, they might have something where they're not like a great talker or something, and this gives them a place or a way to relieve themselves, and that could potentially help them with like their mental state.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, if you haven't gotten laid in a while, then you get kind of agitated.
Oh, yeah.
You go down,
For sure.
But I feel like it would also have you would have to have a really strong mental fortitude, because you would be having sex with a lot of different people, and you would have to what's that word? Compartmentalize yourself to avoid, I don't know. Like, I feel like there would be a lot of shame that self-inflicted shame, and you could get inside your head really easy, because a lot of people, I mean, it's illegal now. It's kind of like the same thing as like everyone looking back on marijuana. You don't smoke marijuana, the war on drugs, blah, 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 blah. And now it's an essential business during a pandemic. Hookers and prostitutes would be essential during a pandemic, and I am certain of it.
That's not social distancing, man.
Yeah, that's another reason why they got.
But they could get tested though. You could even get tested. Like, hey, you know what? We got tests for you. That way, even if I mean, if it was prostitution, you'd want them to wear protection, but. Yeah. I would still test them, because I think they have the things now where you can, within like 15 minutes, it shows if like you're HIV positive or anything like that. So.
Yeah, I don't know anything about that. I'm sure that someplace in Vegas has to be like that. You'd think, right?
Are you raising your hand? I
I'm
thought you were raising your.
Yeah. So it's actually really hard to find. Can you hear me, Shane?
Speak a little louder.
Okay. So it's hard to find like when the exact date was that it became legal. It sounds like it's like 1971. The first licensed brothel that's the year the first licensed brothel in the United States was formed. But in response to like condoms and testing, in 1937, Nevada responded to like a really bad venereal disease issue that was a public health risk, with laws requiring all prostitutes in the state brothels to have a weekly health check to eliminate the spread of potential diseases. And then in 1986, a law was passed that requires the use of condoms during all sexual activities.
See, I think that's fine. That's the line of work you're getting into, so you know,
right.
Hey, I'm getting tested every week.
Yeah, you have to take certain precautions when you're in that line of work, and there's risks involved. But just by decriminalizing it, there's not you can't beat them up anymore. You can't rape them. You can't murder them. You can't throw them to the side. You can't throw, them in jail. You can't treat. Yeah. You have to treat the women and men like, service workers. Yeah, any other service worker. Just like you're ordering a Big Mac, you order a blowjob, and you're like, hey, have a nice day.
It's like you said too. Now they have
put a smile on.
And now, like you said, there's pimps now. So I mean, I'm sure that there are pimps out there that are not treating their hoes, and I'll use quotations for hoes.
Pimps and hoes.
So it's also unclear if prostitution is actually legal in Las Vegas, because it's legal in Nevada, but some counties don't allow it.
Makes sense.
There was an HBO show called The Bunny Ranch. You ever know that? Hear about that?
No.
Sounds familiar.
No. I watched that show, Deuce. Was it Deuce? Yeah. It was about porn. That's $1 billion industry. That's crazy.
What's the bunny? What do you call it? Ranch?
Bunny Ranch. Yeah. Yeah, I just think it's better. I mean, if you keep if you just keep people in the dark because you don't agree with their decisions, you end up just hurting everybody. Because by this being a criminal act, now everyone, and there's a ton of money in doing this, right? So everyone agrees that there's a ton of money in doing this, and they know that there's so much money in it that they kidnap girls who are usually 14, 17, like underage girls, and they kidnap them from all over the world, Africa, Asia. Most of them are in transit through Europe into wherever, and most of them end up in mostly industrialized cities, obviously, because that's where the money is. But if you just make it legal, then you have people to be, willing to come to you,
and you hold people accountable.
Yeah.
Well, and another thing is too, you can tax them.
Yeah.
You can make money. So it's one of those things too. I think that it will be tough to legalize it because you have to vote on it, and a lot of politicians are going to stay away from that.
Yeah, for a long time. Which sucks, but that is, I mean, it's just sad that there's just such a disregard for that. But on a brighter note, and we'll switch to teleportation. Just a couple of things about human trafficking. I just wanted to give out the actual hotline. So if you see anything or know anything or worried about stuff, you can always reach out to the National Human Trafficking Hotline, which is 1-888-373-7888. Again, it's 1-888-373-7888. Do your part. and just a little update about kind of where we are in terms of we as in the United States of America, in terms of our outlook or what our plan is to reduce human trafficking. We have over 120 projects in over 40 countries. These are all counter-trafficking projects, and they all have 3 goals. The first goal is to prevent human trafficking through public awareness, outreach, education, and advocacy campaigns. The second is to protect and assist victims by providing shelters as well as health, psychological, legal, and vocational services. And the last is to prosecute human trafficking by providing training and technical assistance for the law enforcement officials in those countries, as well as the prosecutors and judges. So I will say another data point that I saw. It was a graph showing what the outcome of human trafficking was per case. Does that make sense? Am I saying that weird? Like, let's say someone gets abducted.
Okay, there we go.
Huh?
Yeah, do that train of thought. What you're doing.
Someone gets abducted, and they can go. They're just abducted, and they can go do a whole bunch of other stuff. They can be slaves. They can just get murdered. I don't know. They could turn into prostitutes. There was an overwhelming majority of, what was this? Identified victims of trafficking and what types of exploitation those victims endured. And starting in 2005, the overwhelming majority, 60% of victims were for sexual exploitation. But as recently as this data is up to date till 2017, it has actually gone down to 10% of exploitation or cases end in sexual exploitation. And now over 80% just go straight into forced labor. It went from 30% to just 80. Now they're just straight up slaves. It's literally just slave travel. Slave trade travel.
It's kind of like the I think it was in China. I don't know if it was the Apple stores where they had to start putting nets outside the buildings because people were tired of it and they were jumping, trying to commit suicide because their living conditions were so bad.
At the Apple store?
I think it was. I'm pretty sure it was Apple in China.
Like the manufacturing plant or like an actual store? Oh, okay.
No. Where they like manufacture it because
That's a pretty heavy accusation you just threw out there. I think Nike would have been the better suited one. Didn't they? Nike actually got yelled at for sweatshops. I don't know if Apple does, but it wouldn't surprise me. Of course, Shane is going to look it up. But that is just a little bit about prostitution and really more about human trafficking, because I think that prostitution isn't that bad of a thing as long as we legalize it, and in legalizing it will provide more protection to the sex workers. Human trafficking is obviously a huge deal, and call that number if you have any fucking problems, you know?
It was Apple that I'm glad I got that right.
I haven't seen any proof, so literally staring at a screen and not showing me any information.
It's called Life and Death in Apple's Forbidden Sedate. So this guy, I guess, came in and unhappy workers started killing themselves.
Sounds like a pretty big deal to be not mainstream news.
It was for a while.
What was that source?
I don't know. Let's see. It was somebody, Brian Merchant.
Huh?
Brian Merchant. He wrote a book about it.
It's just this guy is affiliated with a newspaper or a media conglomerate?
The Guardian.
I don't know too much about that. Not one that I read.
There is
here we go. Here's something else. Suicide at Chinese iPhone factory reignites concern over working conditions. Yeah. That was Telegraph, UK.
Okay.
top secret Apple iPhone factory.
What's the date on these articles?
This is 2008. But
Oh shit.
there's like a
16, 17, 18.
Damn.
Yeah.
18.
Oh, 18.
Sorry.
Okay, 2018.
But there's a whole Wikipedia page on Foxconn
Interesting.
suicides.
Wait, what? Say that?
Foxconn suicides.
Foxconn. What's that?
Yep.
Foxconn City is an industrial park in Shenzhen, China.
Okay.
That occurred alongside several additional suicides at various other Foxconn-owned locations and facilities in mainland China, which include Apple and also Hewlett-Packard.
Hewlett-Packard. Interesting.
Told you, man.
What? What'd you tell me?
I don't know. Just about suicides.
Okay. That's interesting. It's surprising that. Actually, that doesn't really surprise me too much.
Not at all.
No. All right, teleportation. Fucking do it.
So teleportation. I think most people know what teleportation is, but if you don't, it's essentially being in one place and then essentially disappearing and reappearing in another place, which would be awesome.
Fast.
So if you've ever seen, I mean, there's a lot of movies, but I guess the main one would be Nightcrawler from X-Men. He can, teleport to different places.
More of a Marvel guy.
Huh?
More of a Marvel guy. I did Cyclops, Storm, like the original. Are the original X-Men still around? I feel like I don't see any of them in the movies. Like Cyclops is my favorite.
I don't know. Probably not, because I think what's his face was the longest Wolverine, Hugh Jackman, but he's officially done now too.
Yeah, he's the greatest showman.
Yeah.
All right, sorry. Teleportation.
So I was trying to find some cool information about teleportation, and it got me into quantum physics and quantum entanglement.
Interesting.
So I guess there's these quantum particles. I don't know if they're electrons, but essentially they're particles that mimic each other. So if you get these things close enough, I don't know how they do it, but they essentially can make these particles act the same way. So think of the particles like this, right?
Mm-hmm.
If they put them close together and they, however, activate them, let's just say, if they do this to this particle, if they just move it up, this one does the exact same thing at the exact same time.
It's like mirroring.
Yeah, and so what's interesting about this is if you move particle A and particle B light years away, and you still do the thing where you move the one particle up, at the same time, light years away, that particle will also move the same direction.
Interesting. So that's not really teleportation, but that's just
I'm getting there. Getting there. So what they said is they could do this. So you have atoms all in your body, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if there was a way to kind of scan every single atom in your body and determine exactly where they're moving, they could essentially, theoretically, break you down and teleport you somewhere else with the exact same...
Like a digital copy.
Yes,
kind of.
Exactly.
Like they'd scan your body and then just, that would come out. It's kind of like code, and then they could just, like not code, but it would just be like a organic compound that they could just replicate somewhere else.
I guess like your DNA code, we could just say. But then you could go there, which is crazy. But then another problem with that is, so we're on Earth, right? So Earth is spinning, thousands of miles an hour in this direction. And then also the galaxy is spinning as well. So if you would teleport...
expanding.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, we talked about that. It's episode 3.
Yeah, that was early on.
Yeah.
But the problem with teleporting is if you teleport from point A to point B, so let's say I teleport from Earth to Mars,
Yeah.
Well, Mars isn't spinning the same way. So you're moving at thousands of miles an hour, right? So if you teleport from Earth to Mars, then you're moving 1,200 miles an hour. So you would essentially die.
That makes sense. Yeah. So in order to, it sounds weird to say, but in order to teleport, you have to have the same circumstances, the exact
Yes.
same circumstances anywhere, which would,
Yes.
which is highly unlikely.
Yes, correct.
I guess
So,
you could try to do it like within, like between rooms, like a controlled environment. Like if you just had a building and you had 2 rooms at opposite sides, and then the person in here, and then room A, and then they teleported to room B, that would probably be like the closest you could do, I guess.
yeah, there's probably like a proximity, like X amount of miles where it would work without you running
Right. Yeah.
into
Like
a building or something.
smack right into. Yeah.
But the one thing I always thought about this from X-Men. So Nightcrawler, I believe, is the X-Men who could teleport. And in the movie, he always said, well, I have to either see where I'm going or I have to have like seen it before. I always thought, well, if you teleport from one place to another, if there's like dust in the air and stuff, does that dust like get inside your body or does it push it away? Like, because he said if there's a wall there, I'm going to teleport into a brick wall, so I would die.
Yeah. Like, oh yeah, like if you pass through stuff, right?
Yeah. Well, let's just say I'm trying to teleport, I don't know, anywhere, and I end up teleporting into a pillar, a stone pillar. Does that mean
you're inside the pillar?
all my matter is going to get tangled with the pillar and I'm going to die instantly?
Probably.
So that's always what I thought. Well, what if you get dust when you teleport, and every single time it builds up? Does your body inside, does it break down that stuff?
I wonder if the air inside your lungs would also teleport with you. Like if you took a breath and then teleported, would you exhale when you came out? I mean, would you exhale that same air? Or would you have any air in your lungs?
Probably,
right? I also kind of imagine it like maybe like just like teleporting and then having to gasp for air, like you just came out of like water because you couldn't breathe in the time that it took you to teleport. But essentially, I guess that would be instantaneous. So I don't know. It's interesting.
If you could teleport without all this crazy stuff where it's like, hey, you can teleport anywhere in the world at any time, and it doesn't really matter. You just have to make sure if you teleport in a road, or there might be a car coming, so you might die. But if you could safely teleport, would you choose that over flying?
No.
I would.
Really?
Teleport way before flying.
I think flying would be cool because life's about the journey, Shane, not always the destination.
But I can have a journey of destinations, though.
Yeah, it would be kind of cool to just like teleport to the top of a mountain or something. But I feel like it would be just so much cooler to fly to the top of the mountain.
Yeah, it probably would. I'm just thinking of the efficiency. Like, hey, I want to
like to the doctors and to the grocery store.
Go to a brothel, you know?
Yeah. Well, that's another thing. Like, what if we were all teleporting and going like crossing each other? What if I like teleported and I was going to the movies and I crossed your path and then I landed there and I had your head and then your ankles, but the rest of the body was mine? It'd be weird.
Or what if we both same time and we merge into one super being?
If we were the same person, would you want the left side or the right side?
Right.
I mean, I guess I could get better at my left.
Yeah, because I'm not.
Yeah. I guess it wouldn't matter too much. Or would you rather have the top half or the bottom half?
Top half.
Yeah, the bottom half. Bottom half has more fun, I feel like. You know? You got your dick down there. It's a lot of fun. Dick's a lot of fun.
It all goes through your brain.
It's true. Your mind will be controlling my dick.
Yeah.
That's
And I would
weird.
still get that sensation.
That's fucking weird. Yeah, like I wouldn't be able to feel it at all because I wouldn't have a brain.
Exactly.
That's fucking odd. Man. We'll wait till someone officially figures out teleportation, and then we'll try it. We're not going to be signing up for the experimentation.
Have you heard? Would you sign up for the experiment that? I don't know if we talked about this the last one or two episodes ago. That Elon Musk is doing that thing where they're like implanting the chips into
Oh
the brain.
yeah.
I would do that in a couple of years if it works out.
Yeah.
It's like that movie with Bradley Cooper, Limitless.
Yeah.
Where they take the pill and he's like, I'm so smart.
Yeah.
That would be wild.
That would be wild. But yeah, I would want it. The chip. I like the chip idea more than like taking the pill. Because the chip, I feel like if it's in my brain, I can like. Will it like evolve with like my brain as my brain grows? Will you know what I mean? Like, will it become a part of me, or will it always be this other thing?
My biggest concern about the chips in the brain is eventually somebody's going to be able to hack that, and they could essentially hack your mind and control you. Wouldn't that be?
Fuck that! Yeah.
There's got to be a movie about that, right? Where
like
you start
hacking your brain. I think there's like a Black Mirror episode about that. No. Yeah, there's a Black Mirror episode about fear.
The memory one, right?
Memory one.
Yeah, it's like the second episode, I think. They have like the chip in, so if you want to recall your memory, you just kind of like.
Oh, and the girl in her eye. Yeah. But that's not really hacking.
I know.
Yeah, that's what I mean. If that world if you went to that world and did the hacking thing, yeah, that's exactly what it would be.
It would be crazy.
That was a fucked up episode.
So let's say you put a chip in your brain, which makes you more intelligent, makes your body work more efficiently. The blood pumps better, your muscles work better, your neurons fire faster. Yeah, it never gets sick, and then all of a sudden, somebody goes, "Oh, look, this isn't very secure." And you know what? We have access to John's motor skills.
Whoa! Why are you hitting yourself? People would be so childish at first, and then it would just get sick.
Well, think about it. So let's say you hack somebody and you go, "Oh my gosh, I don't like this person. Let's have John kill Sam."
Yeah. I know. I'm like, no, I don't want to.
Officer, it wasn't me. I got hacked. There's the dilemma then.
Yep. I got hacked.
What if you get
like
hacked?
Twitter accounts,
What if you get hacked and you kill somebody, but you don't have control over it? Do you still get charged?
Well, I guess you would, if you're able to hack your brain, you would have to. There would be some kind of log, I would assume, right?
Yeah, it have to be.
Replay, like see.
But still, how crazy would it be?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that would be crazy as shit.
Because the funny thing is, I don't think that's out of the realm of the possibility within our lifetime.
No, dude. The first. Let me say this right. The first employee, serviceless. I forget the word they used. There's a store that doesn't have any employees, and they have it's a virtual basket, and you like put stuff in this basket, and then check out, and the basket opens when you leave.
Yep. I think that's the future of a lot of things where like you can't go to the store unless you have an app or you have a card or something.
Right.
Think about a gym. Like you can't. Some gyms 24-hour
Yeah.
gyms. They don't have people that work all the time. So you just
Yeah.
scan in. They have cameras, and they go, oh,
Right. That's the real threat to people's jobs, not the pandemic. It's the robots and artificial intelligence.
that's why they should start prostitution before the cyber prostitutes come out.
Man, truer words have never been said. To save the human race from hackers being able to hack into your brain, legalize prostitution.
Have you seen those new like realistic sex doll things?
I've seen like the like articles about them. I never
They're
read too much
creepy.
into them. Are they creepy? I actually I don't know. I
Well,
can't tell if I'm thinking of a movie or an article I read.
So the reason they're creepy is some of them look real, like it's a real person.
That's weird.
Uh-huh.
Who's buying this stuff? You know what I mean?
People.
Man, that's so weird. You know, like people are buying sex robots. Anybody, you don't even know who's buying them. Someone's buying them though. What if it's like what if it's oh man, I bet there's so many sex bots out there.
What if it's your politician?
Probably. It's a lot of politicians. They're old, white racists, and they're horny.
What was that thing you
Horny old
posted
men.
today about CrossFit? Did something happen?
Oh yeah, the CrossFit's ex-CEO, former CEO, on Saturday tweeted something insensitive about George Floyd's death, and over thousands of CrossFit gyms are disassociated with CrossFit. If you guys don't know, CrossFit is its own thing, and gyms pay. You can also go back and listen to the episode, CrossFit and ethical hacking, or I don't know what it was, but it's CrossFit in the title, and you can listen to it. But gyms pay a membership to be a part of CrossFit, and then they get certifications for coaches. They get to participate in events, and they get like the different programming, and they pay a monthly fee for that. And a lot of gyms were like, well, fuck you, you're a racist asshole. So they all disassociated. And yesterday, our gym, Tough Temple, was going to disassociate if they didn't change CEO. And now they have to this other guy, Castro. And he used to he's like the games organizer. He's the guy who comes up with all the workouts for the games, the actual like CrossFit games.
Okay.
So he's now the CEO, but they really should just have a board, because that just makes so much more sense. So they came out and said, "Oh, this is bad," and my gym owner got interviewed by the Washington Post, and that's what I posted.
I saw a video of, I guess in CrossFit, I guess there's two guys who are considered, like the GOATs.
I guess.
Yeah.
Rich Froning.
Yes.
And Matthew Frazier.
Yes.
Beasts.
And they did like a battle royale type thing where they just competed against each other. And
that Rich Froning was like 4-time athlete or like individual winner of the year. Matthew Frazier is 3-time, I think. But Rich Froning moved on to team CrossFit, and he's now 2-time winner in team, I believe.
Well, it makes sense when you have the best person in the world at an event, and then you have, because for example, let's say you're the best player in a sport in the world, right? And it's an individual sport. So let's say let's give tennis, for example. So I would think that, Roger Federer and Rafa Nadal could probably learn how to do doubles tennis pretty easily.
Maybe.
Because the guys they're playing against aren't as good, I would say. because those are like the two best players in the world. Well, him and them.
Do they play
Joker,
together though? I feel like that's like a huge
well, if they
thing.
got like good, if they synced up pretty good, if that's all they did, or if they transitioned and
if they trained, I'm sure that they would be good at it. Yeah.
So
that's yeah.
I was trying to think of another sport, but here we go. Let's just say you're the best cyclist in the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden, you stop participating in individual events, and then you go into a team. Well, probably the people in the team events aren't as good as the individuals. I mean, not necessarily, but more likely. So they're probably going to, have a good shot at winning the team one as well.
Yeah, I don't really know how they choose teams. I think it's just kind of like who wants to work with who.
Well, Andy probably has a good network of people that are ridiculously fit too.
Right. But the thing about the team, I think it's just it's just a different thing. But let's do some random facts. Random facts.
Is that a cat pillow behind you?
It's a penguin. Penguin on ski.
Oh, it was upside down.
Yeah.
Thank you for fixing that for me. It helps.
All right, random facts.
All right, you ready?
We gotta get her in here. She's hiding again.
Okay. All right. Move that thing a little closer to me.
Hey.
Cool. All right, you ready? All right, so we are not grading. What's it called? Scoring this game, right?
Ooh, okay.
You ready? Gotta be ready for it.
We're fucking ready. God damn it, go.
All right. In what year was the first iPhone released?
2004.
No.
2001.
No. Both wrong. 2007.
Oh, wow. I thought it was way old. You know
I
that's
was thinking
crazy?
iPod.
That is crazy if you think about it.
Yeah,
That is not that long ago.
ago.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, I know.
What is the name of the worldly event where you can look at the sun only wearing
Solar
special
eclipse.
glasses? It is the solar eclipse. John's my left hand and Shane is my right hand.
Oh,
Okay,
good job,
that'll
John.
work for the podcast listeners.
You know what? If you're listening from Spotify or anything else, just keep score on your own fingers. So John's winning 1-0.
Yeah, follow along.
It's just called counting. You'll be fine.
Which Disney princess wears a yellow dress?
Belle, we already went
Yeah,
over
we
that.
did this one.
Oh, we did?
But you know what? I still got it, so.
Sorry. What year did this modern Cinderella story where a prostitute and a wealthy businessman fall hard for one another
Pretty Woman.
be released? No, what year?
That's the movie, though, right?
This is the movie.
Man, 1989.
Nope.
1993.
No, it's 1990.
Oh, it was close.
You get like special stars.
I don't need any bullshit
for naming
sympathy.
For naming Pretty Woman, that's my follow-up.
Well, that was with Julia Roberts, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
You made a big mistake. Huge.
How many times have you seen that movie?
Everyone knows that quote.
And also, it's a great movie. What American writer coined the term teleportation?
Oh.
Orson Welles.
It was it was like 1938 or something when it was coined, and it was by I literally heard
Is that
this.
what coin means? Like who
No,
coined
just
it?
like started calling it that. Like
I don't know, but was it in the 1930s when he did it?
It was, but you don't get special stars because you didn't guess the right year. So 1931.
I knew it was in the 30s. Who was it?
Charles Fort.
Who was this?
He was the person that like popularized
But
the concept
Okay.
teleportation.
So he's just like a scientist?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Which actress played identical twins in the
Lindsay Lohan.
1998 Parent Trap? Yes, Lindsay Lohan. Arnold Schwarzenegger was once the governor of which U.S. state?
California.
California. That's a tie, right?
What animal is Bambi?
Deer. He's a fawn, actually.
Well, I think you guys tied.
But technically, Bambi's a fawn.
Time, man.
Technically.
Yeah, he's a white-tailed fawn.
Okay,
But he grows up, so he's a deer, and he turns a buck. So what's up?
What do we? Oh, deer is like the genus. I didn't realize that. Deer is like the larger.
Remember a moose is a deer?
Yeah, moose is a deer. Elk is a deer too, which is weird. And yeah, I thought the deer were deer and elks were elks.
And
you just learn so much stuff on this show. It's crazy, you know?
And did you know JoJo is also a deer? Oh, get it?
Okay.
No laughter. I'm sorry.
I mean, if it was funny, I would have laughed.
Who was the 16th president of the United States?
Abe Lincoln.
Abe Lincoln.
Goes to John.
I think I got that one. I think I beat him to it.
It sucks that we're doing this over Zoom, though, because I feel like if we talk at the same time, no one can hear.
I can tell because...
Well, I know you can tell, but it doesn't really matter about us three.
That's true. All right. How many countries have regulated and legalized prostitution?
None. Wait. Legalized
6
and regulated?
Yes. And no.
Is this a trick question?
It is not.
Okay. 1.
No, it's actually 22 countries.
Wow. Can you name a couple?
That's another question.
Okay.
Can we skip that one?
What countries have made paying for sex legal and regulated?
Netherlands.
Romania.
The Netherlands is one, and Romania is not.
How many are there?
1, 2, 9. There are 9 European countries. They are Sweden, Germany, Austria, Switzerland, Greece, Turkey, Hungary, Latvia, and the Netherlands.
I feel like
Of course, Latvia, obviously.
I don't understand your term legalize. Like legal, like prostitution is legal in these countries?
Legal and regulated. So like there's laws that say that they can have prostitution. Yes.
But I read an article about a Greek police officer abusing prostitutes as informants. So is that just a police
brutality
or whatever?
Brutality.
It's more so just on the police then. Oh, okay. Well, cool. I thought that since that cop's just an asshole.
Yeah. So I think it's like okay, we've made this legal and now we have these rules about it, and that's what makes it legal and regulated.
See, we should follow suit.
I think I have that headband. Does it look familiar?
No.
Okay.
Maybe from last episode.
Okay.
Looks good. What we got?
What is the typical color of bubblegum?
Pink.
I'm out of fingers, so
it's all right. We can
what
just
are
count.
you doing? Number 6 for John, 3 for Shane.
What?
Eat it.
Well, you've gotten them right, but you're just slower.
I think
feel like
it's
we're counting. I feel
audio.
like as long as you have the right answer, you get a point.
Okay. So
It's not about speed. I'm just super fast.
okay, so Shane, you have 5. It's 5 to 6.
No, I'm not trying to go faster than Shane. I'm just saying it when I know the answer.
I think there must be like a quarter second audio delay.
Oh yeah. Right.
Okay. What are the titles? This is hard. Wait. Let me rephrase. What is the title of the 1980s classic sci-fi trilogy about a small-town California teen thrown back into the 50s?
Back to the Future.
Back to the Future.
It is. All right. 1 second. I need a pause.
That was, I've only seen the first one.
Let's see. The first one obviously is the first
What
one.
a famous car, though.
The what's it called?
The DeLorean.
DeLorean. Jinx.
No. Okay. Random facts.
All right. Okay. What is the company Campbell's is known for?
Soup.
Soup.
Which young Jedi Knight becomes Darth Vader in Star Wars?
Anakin Skywalker.
Yes.
I forgot his name. I was like the little guy.
Summertime Sadness is sung by which female American singer-songwriter?
Yeah. I thought it was a Calvin Harris song.
Summertime.
Is that the song?
Sadness.
Summertime? Is that how old is the song?
Is it Paramore?
It's not Paramore.
Evanescence?
What female singer is responsible for who wrote? Is that what you're asking? Who wrote this song?
What American singer-songwriter sung "Summertime Sadness"?
I have no idea.
Like The Voice?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't even know if I'm thinking of the right song.
I got this. Summertime Sadness, right? That one?
Oh, that sounds, yeah, that makes sense. Summertime sadness. Sadness. All right.
What is the most popular site to advertise internet sex work?
Google. The back pages. Is that a site? Back pages.
Could you ask it one more time?
What is the most popular site to advertise internet sex work?
Google.
No, so it is Backpage. It's typically thought of more as a Craigslist, but Backpage is much more popular. Craigslist is like the most popular site to advertise for a free site. Like Backpage, you have to pay for, which is interesting. I didn't know that. Anyway, "Beam me up, Scotty" catchphrase was made popular by which science fiction film? Series.
Star Trek?
Yes.
What'd you say?
That's what I said.
Is he
sure.
Yeah.
I literally said it.
I'm just
as soon as you said "Beam me up, Scott," I said Star Trek.
Oh, I couldn't hear you. I didn't. Hopefully it came through for the listeners, or it doesn't count.
All right, guys, you're tied. Okay. So from now on.
No, we're not making up rules.
I was just gonna say 5 seconds for the other person to answer.
Too many rules makes it less fun.
Yeah, but I'm not sitting around. Okay. What colors make purple?
Red and blue. And yep, what? There's more. And yellow.
It's red and blue.
Yeah,
you got it.
Why are you holding your hands up like that?
What do you mean?
hey.
You guys both.
Oh, I thought she was like counting down like the colors. Just sitting here with her hands up, 2 hands, all 5s, and she's looking at me, and I'm like, "What?"
Hey, Jojo.
Red and blue, and then you just stare at me.
Jojo, while you have those up, can you do something for me? These are not spirit fingers. These.
For you. About how many prostitutes are working in the world?
1 million. Oh no, 42 million. Sorry.
I feel like that is accurate because my number is 42 million.
Yeah, 42 million.
I mean,
how'd you know that?
I just
researched on it. But a follow-up question: of that number, how many are trafficking victims?
36.
What year is this data from?
I don't know.
Well, my answer is going to be inaccurate due to the lack of information about this question, but I'm going to go ahead and say like 10 million.
It's actually only 2.5 million.
Wow. Interesting.
I wasn't even close.
But I don't know when this.
Yeah.
occurred.
It's conflicting data from what I've found.
Right.
Yeah.
So it might be
Interesting.
Yep. Which U.S. state is known as the Sunshine State?
Florida.
Yeah. Before it was called Freeform, this TV channel was called what?
Lifetime?
What did you say?
Before it was called Freeform, this TV channel was called
Lifetime? Is Lifetime still around?
Freeform. Hallmark.
No, it was ABC Family.
Oh man, R.I.P. ABC Family. Wow, S Club 7. Dun, 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 dun.
There was something on ABC Family I watched all the time. I can't think of what it was.
Seventh Heaven.
No.
Great show.
Pervy dude though.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It was something. It was whatever. Well, I'll figure
America's
it out.
Funniest Home Videos. Bob Saget.
Was that on HBO Family?
ABC Family. Yeah.
I say HBO Family.
What is the only fruit with seeds on the outside?
Strawberry.
Oh yeah.
Strawberries.
Nice.
Neck and neck. Which Kardashian has Travis Scott dated?
Oh wait. Fuck. What's her name? Kylie.
Kyle. No.
It
It's
is Kylie.
Yeah.
We got it.
All right. Last question, or what?
Oh,
Last two questions.
2 questions. This is like a fill in the blank question. So, 1 in how many men in the world have paid for sex?
2.
What did you say, Shane? Oh, it's actually 1 in 10.
You said one every other person. I think every other. Have you paid for sex?
No, I said 2 out of 10.
You just
No. Oh, that.
What?
I said 1 in how many?
Yeah, and you said 2. So 1 and 2. So much paid sex. These sex workers are living the fucking life.
Yeah.
Fucking billionaires. No wonder there's 42 million of them. Okay, last one.
Hey. What is the name of the movie that Will and Jaden Smith appeared in together? What was
Pursuit of
the movie
Happiness.
that Will and Jaden Smith appeared in together?
Pursuit of Happiness.
Oh, she was in that. Yeah.
You said Jaden Smith?
Jaden, not Will.
Oh, After Earth.
Jaden.
After Earth 1.
How many are there?
Well,
Just
the answer
name
says
all of them?
1. But I'm gonna give you both a point because that's true.
Yeah, they're both in.
This I think was before.
Before After Earth. Cool.
Well, you tied, so.
We'll see. Maybe Shane's answer didn't come through on that audio glitch. So.
Yeah, you should have
No,
a
I-
comment on.
I've seen every single Star Trek movie, and yeah.
Yeah, I'm just giving you a hard time. Okay, well, comment the score. Let us know that you're out there. We appreciate you and we love you.
And let us know if you are having difficulty in your life with sex trafficking, and we will help.
Yeah, and you can always call that hotline, 1-888-373-7888. And be on the lookout. We might have a very, very special guest on the podcast. No jinxes, knocking on wood, but fingers crossed for us. We will keep you guys updated, and stay safe out there.
Bye.